Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's AMA session. My name is Adrian Zdunchuk, CMT, CryptoBurb. I'm your host for today's excellent session with our incredible partners at ALKIMI Exchange. I'm here with the one and only Ben Putley, who is the man behind the success of this incredible project, who's actually, right here to talk to us about the world's first decentralized ad exchange, basically, on how it's actually rebuilding the actual intent with the value exchange over the internet, over the open web. Because at times it seems that the internet is really straying away from what it was always supposed to be. It's becoming too centralized, too much power in the single hands that at the same time, just not necessarily want the best for the people. And here we are as an opposing force, as a new proposition, new value to the internet, represented by the Ben Putley himself. So how is it going, Phil? How is it going? How are you feeling?
Very well. Thank you for that intro. It was very kind. I don't often think of myself as a big brain, so it's nice to be called one every now and again, so I appreciate that. It's great to be here. Can't wait to have a chat.
Oh, likewise, Ben. I'm really excited for it. And my entire career at the Burbness, is not only a big fan, as the community, as the incubator, as the project side of the network, we're not only excited to work with ALKIMI, with you, Ben. I think it's, like I said, it all has to do with not only the people, it all has to do with the mission behind everything and the vision, right? Because we all share the same interests. We all actually, are moving in the same direction, similar dynamics, similar understanding of the market, and similar principles that are really lightening this entire route and journey for us. So speaking of that, actually, why wouldn't we kick it off with the ALKIMI's vision, right? What sets it apart, would you say? What is the vision? What sets it apart from the traditional advertising space?
Quite a few things. I think the main one is that we've built our own layer 2 to solve some of the issues with not necessarily the internet. I think the internet does work well, but the funding of the internet. So I think people often forget, I think people probably know this, but the internet's free fundamentally because it's funded by ads. People visit a website, they visit an app, they watch stuff on their TV. A lot of that content is funded by advertising. And now with the way it's currently funded with large centralized exchanges, you have big players in the market that take big fees. And what that means is that if you're buying ads, you don't get very good value for money. You don't get as much media as you should be getting for the dollars you're putting into content. And if you're selling ads, you don't get as much money as you should do, which makes it harder to create more content, to hire developers, to really make whatever your platform is the best possible platform it can be. And we wanted to fix that. So I've worked in ad tech, as we call it, for my entire career. I used to work for one of the bigger exchanges, like a Death Star, and we're like the Rebel Alliance, if you want to think of it in a Star Wars sense. But I saw the fees that were being taken. I saw the lack of transparency and kind of fell down the blockchain rabbit hole quite a long time ago now, like 7 or 8 years ago, and couldn't help but have this itch that was, I think we can probably use a blockchain to solve some of the issues that exist within the funding of ads online. So 4 years ago, myself, my 2 co-founders, Adam Chorley and Chandru, decided to create ALKIMI. And now what ALKIMI does is use a layer 2 to create a digital marketplace online to reduce the fees for people that buy and sell ads, to provide a distributed ledger. So you have complete transparency of what transactions took place, how they took place, which fees were taken, by whom. But that only works when it's decentralized, right? So we have a network of validators. We've got over 1,200 now, and validators effectively provide compute to the layer 2, provide the transactional throughput, and then get rewarded for doing so. So 100% of the fees go back to our validators and our LP. So really, if you buy or sell ads, you get a better product. But if you are a token holder or you support the network, what you get to do is yield farm the internet, is what we say. There's a $600 billion market this year. It's going to be $1 trillion by 2028, and that is dollars spent online. So yeah, as a holder of ads, as a validator, someone that LPs, you get to yield farm the internet, which I think is pretty cool.
Right on. And you've already referred very rightly so to the role of the validators, right? How can anybody basically, let's say they have just come to the market, they have just appeared, in a space. Obviously, there's like whole loads of the retail people, of the new people, common newcomers to this with basically the verge of being, for the 100K being broken right now, right around the corner.
Yeah.
It means that all those people who are coming, perhaps they want to hold stake in valuable projects such as ALKIMI. And how can they actually do it? How can they participate in the validator program?
So you need to have, very similar to Ethereum, really, you need to have the collateral. So you have to have 50,000 ads tokens. That allows you to head over to alkimi.org. You can join our waitlist. We've just opened up the network. So we went from 55 validators to 1,220 or so, I think. So we've kind of now become like a proper decentralized network, and validators then have an important job to do. You either become a self-serve validator where you run your validator yourself, or you can use our delegated service where we take care of some of the management of that validator for you. I understand people are very busy. They're not as fortunate as we are, Adrian, and get to work in crypto full time, or unfortunate, I guess, whichever way you want to look at it. But I would say fortunate.
Exactly. That's debatable part, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It has its ups and downs, right? And then you are kind of there. You're providing valuable compute resource to the network, and you can start yield farming the internet. So it's really quite a simple process, but quite an important process. I think I kind of touched upon it slightly earlier, but the internet's funded by ads. What that means is that it's free and accessible to everyone. If it doesn't continue to get funded by ads, it won't be. And you're kind of already starting to see it creaking, right? You have paywalls are a lot everywhere, and that is, I don't blame any publisher that's putting up a paywall, right? They've got bills to pay, but that is one of the symptoms of them not generating enough value from the ads that they're selling online. So yeah, I think that walled gardens have taken a lot of steam out of it, like social media platforms, and Google's in a bit of trouble at the moment with the DOJ. It's looking like they're going to have to sell off Chrome. They're a search business, but really Google is an ad tech company. Facebook is an ad tech company, and probably the biggest, baddest ones that have ever existed. But they've done that by taking content, putting it on their platform, and then monetizing it. Now I think that we're having a new generation that will perhaps not want to be on the same platforms that their parents are on. But I think what will be persistent is the internet. I think if you own your platform, you own your platform, right? It's not going to go anywhere. The rules can't be changed at any point. You are in charge of what's going on. And I think the only way that is going to be sustainable is if the internet is funded better. So ultimately, yeah, running a validator, you help do that. You help pay content creators, you help brands. So you're the right message at the right time, and ultimately fund the internet. So it's an important job you have to play as a validator on the network. And if you don't want to be a validator, that's fine as well. You can just hold the token. You can provide liquidity to the LP, go to the same platform, labs.alkimi.org. And we've got this process called soft staking. So you retain ownership of your tokens. We take snapshots of your wallet, and then you receive a fee for providing liquidity, which we use to offer various services to the people that buy and sell ads through our platform.
All right. Not too bad at all. I mean, as we go and deeper dive into the realm, how about the insights on how those partnerships that you guys are having, basically those real world partnerships, how has it all contributed to growth with ALKIMI so far?
Yeah, it's kind of key. It's all very well having an ad exchange built on a blockchain, but if no one uses it, it's like a tree that falls in the woods with no one around, right? Did it make any noise or not? So that has been a lot of our efforts for the last 3.5 years now, is educating people on the value of using a blockchain to buy and sell ads. Starting off with test budgets with a lot of these brands that we work with. So our first ever campaign we ran with AWS. They were able to see some pretty amazing savings in terms of the cost of ads they were purchasing. We were
What kind of numbers we are talking about there?
So for centralized exchanges, so like some of the big platforms that exist currently, they were paying £7.09. So if you want to call that $10. With ALKIMI, it was £2.21. So call that $3.50. So they were saving $6.50 for every ad they purchased, which meant in effect they got 3 times the amount of ads for the same budget using a blockchain and a layer 2 to deliver ads online. So as you can imagine, they were quite pleased with that, and we kind of continued to work with them and their media agency, which is IPG. One of the 6 biggest media agencies in the world, and that got us off onto a very good foot. Since then, we've worked with other Amazon businesses outside of AWS, so like Prime and Video. We've worked with Cathay Pacific. We've worked with TikTok. We've worked with Meta. We've worked with American Express. We were very lucky to win a partnership with Coca-Cola. So we help them find their audiences globally. One of their preferred partners, of which there are only 4. So that was quite a big deal. As you can imagine, Coca-Cola spent quite a lot of money, and we're excited to see that ramp up next year. And really,
they didn't give you the recipe though, right? Did they?
They didn't know. That's very closely guarded.
Next time.
Yeah, but I think Coca-Cola, like they have obviously Coca-Cola, but then they've got 23 portfolio companies.
Of course,
they've got like Costa Coffee in the UK. I think they've got Powerade. They have Innocent Smoothies. They're like obviously that goes without saying, but a powerhouse. And the great thing about Coca-Cola is they're looking to target anyone with a mouth, which is most of us, right? So they've got quite broad targeting, which is great because it means a lot of the great publishers that we work with are able to receive some of those dollars in Coca-Cola ad spend. So it's very symbiotic for both the supply and demand side of the network. And yeah, I think we found product market fit this year. Initially, this was probably a mistake we made quite early, was that we were selling the features of the network. So cheaper, transparent, produces lower emissions. We haven't really touched on that, but that's kind of top of mind for a lot of brands, is to kind of reach net zero. But that didn't, you'd think they're like, okay, yeah, cool, I'm really up for that. But then that's difficult to put on a media plan, like cheaper, transparent, and more efficient. But we've got an ad format, we call it 100% share of screen. And without going too much into the nitty gritty, like what tends to happen with existing exchanges is the bid starts at $5, it gets reduced to like $2, if not less. And then you're competing with other people on page to win an auction and deliver an ad. Because the bids come in quite low, there's quite a lot of competition at the low end of the market. Now, because our fees are so low, we charge as little as 3%, as opposed to 40 to 80% that we've seen in apples to apples tests that we've done. We're super competitive. So we're able to win most of the ad units on a page. So again, if you're Coca-Cola, you might not want your brand to be next to Pepsi. You certainly wouldn't, I imagine, if you're them.
Yep.
So with our exchange, we're actually able to offer the chance for brands to buy all the ad units on one page, because our bids come in so much higher because we reduce the bid by so little with the fees. That's been a game changer for us. That has kind of allowed brands and their media agencies to understand how to put us on plan, how to deliver better results, like the impact of that is better. So yeah, that's really been a key to the growth. And I think there's been a lot of blockchain companies that have seen the well-reported issues in programmatic advertising, online advertising. But unless you know your market inside out, and fortunately, that's what I've ever done, you're able to just kind of sell it to them in the right way and have them understand the benefits in the language that they understand. So we don't go out and tell people, oh, the way you're doing it's wrong, you're stupid, which I think sometimes crypto has a tendency to do that. Because when you start
So
calling
nicely
people,
put.
yeah, when you start calling people stupid, they probably think you're stupid and call you stupid back. Like it's not the best way to have people adopt a new technology. So it's been a mantra of ours really, is like, let's meet this enormous market where it is. Let's allow it to be bought in the way that they bought ads traditionally. And then let's prove to them the benefits of using a blockchain and then take them to where we think the market should go. So like that has obviously meant that we've been able to grow. The team is pretty decent size now. There's 15 of us here in the UK, and we've got 45 amazing developers in Bangalore. So it's like a good ALKIMI crew that is building out this layer 2, that is building out products, that's building out labs, that is kind of creating this platform or infrastructure on which the digital ads of the future will be traded upon. So it's a long road. These things take time, and we're 4 years into it now. We've kind of found product market fit, and I'm really looking forward to scaling the business next year.
Shout out to everybody watching us from Bangalore. Cool place.
Yeah,
Really cool place.
good bunch. Our CTO, Chandru's just flown over. I was there earlier this year, had an amazing time there. I did wind up with the whole team that I said the food wasn't very spicy, and it's much spicier in the UK.
I feel what you're saying. I feel what you're saying.
I just talked myself into some very spicy curries.
Oh, there you go. Of course. Speaking of the spicy stuff, perhaps you can tell us a little bit more of the reception. Was the reception spicy on the web too? Kind of like companies. You mentioned Meta, of course. You mentioned all those different big social platforms, social powerhouses. And what's been the reception? You're kind of like the, antagonist to them to some extent. You're stealing their business. You're doing that very well. You're giving a lot of commercial reasons, for the companies to work with you instead of them. So how's been the reception so far?
I think some of them question how our fees can be so low. And I just say, go on our website. We use a blockchain. That's exactly kind of the answers there. It's just not quite as simple as that. But we don't necessarily want to pick fights with everyone, right? Like a good marketplace or a good market is when there is competition. There are different options for people to use to get the results they want. Right? Obviously, it's great if you can win the entire marketplace, but eventually you get yourself into hot water. So like see Google right now, right? They're in trouble because they created a monopoly. It's just generally not the way you want to go. And that's another kind of interesting utilization of our network of validators. And because we built the platform to be interoperable with the way that ads are traded today, so we use a standard called OpenRTB, which is just a way of organizing data in a fashion that's expected by people that are buying and selling ads, and then using a technology called Prebid, which allows us to integrate with technology publishers use today, is that anyone can deploy any part of their ad serving application to our layer 2. So in the same way that you have dApps that are built on EVM, you could then, using ALKIMI's Rails, have an entire company, and this is not to diminish a company into a dApp, because a dApp is very powerful, but creates a dApp that uses some of the compute that's available for them to also save some money. Like one of the reasons that fees are quite high in ad tech is because there's trillions of auctions that happen every single month, and there has to be servers involved that store that. Now, we've used a very efficient method of rolling up transactions into large snapshots. It's kind of what you've got on the screen here, to make that efficient. But some ad tech companies can spend anywhere between 10 to 20% of the gross ad spend on cloud, on storage of auctions. And again, that is where a distributed ledger like this is very useful, to distribute the cost of the storage to the validators. But all of those companies that do that would pay to play. So it generates more fees for doing so. And now we've had conversations for the last 12 months or so with businesses that are interested in that. It's not a quick sell to have someone move their infrastructure, particularly for large businesses that are delivering millions of dollars in revenue. But fundamentally, that is where I believe this can go. It's like I would use this stupid analogy in presentations I do, but like if you imagine your house and you have like your kitchen where you prepare the food and your guests come over, but your kitchen's a bit messy, but you get stuff done in there. That's like the data side of ad tech. And then your creative is your dining room where people are sitting down and you put your nice candles out and your silverware and it's like, it's looking good to go. And then you have your basement where no one wants to go. There's giant spiders down there. Your kids might think there's monsters. That's the infrastructure in ad tech. You know, that's been the same infrastructure that existed 25 years ago. What we've done is taken a blockchain down there, cleaned all the spiders out, put some nice decorations in there, and now it's somewhere that you want to go. Now it's fit for purpose. You can actually use it after dinner to go play some party games, to really finalize and finish thrashing that analogy. So we've just provided new infrastructure. You know, like a lot of the issues I think that you're seeing in ad tech are there because people are butting up against the maximum potential of that centralized infrastructure. It's like, well, if you just hop over the fence and then you look into the world of decentralization, it's like, okay, shit, you can solve a ton of the problems that you're seeing, which is why you see developers that discover blockchain are like, okay, this is it. This has solved loads of problems that I struggled with before. Why would I build anything in the old way now? Now I can do it in this new way. And that's really what we've chosen to do for ad tech. You know, you have general purpose blockchains, you know, like blockchains like Ethereum, like Solana. We get to stand on their shoulders and create specific blockchains for a purpose to solve an issue for people that I can point out. You know, like I know 5,000 people with this problem, so I can create a solution for them. Because I think when you say to someone, hey, you can come to our platform and you can build anything, right? It's like, okay, well, what shall I build? They're like, anything. You can build anything you want. And it's like, that is quite a big barrier to entry because you've got to understand why a smart contract is better than a traditional database and what can you do with a smart contract, and then how does that solve a problem for someone, and then do you know what I mean? Whereas if we just say, okay, this is it, this is what you use this for, it narrows the purview slightly, but actually makes it really easy to have great conversations with people with that challenge that you're solving. So yeah, I think, can't remember where I was going, I started rambling, but yeah, it's we're making the basement a nice place to go. There we go, to round up and really hammer my
I like that. And speaking of people, speaking of their people, right? We've got quite a crowd right there. Almost 40,000 people. Almost 40,000 people.
Team for the relentless
shout out. Oh yeah, shout out to everybody, you know, from the ALKIMI. Kind reminder that I'm not only a big fan of Ben's work, of ALKIMI's work. We're all partner up. You know, we are official partners with ALKIMI Exchange at the Bourbonnais as well. So huge shout out to your incredible team, to the people in Bangalore, to people in London, incredible people. Like I said, we the Polish people have special love in our hearts for all the people from London, for the English people.
Likewise.
Oh, yeah. So you know, there's quite a crowd. 40,000 people. Try good luck fitting that in one room, right?
Yeah.
What I'm pretty curious to learn from you, Ben, is what's the community role? Like, if you were to explain it in like, you know, couple of lines, shortly and smoothly for everybody who's coming through. Like, what stake are they holding? Like, why should they become the members to the community? Why should they follow, you know, you're on X/Twitter? Like, what's the value? What's the role to the community there?
So I think if you've ever seen an ad online, you kind of understand our market. And I think I often say that slightly facetiously because pretty much everyone has seen an ad online, right? Like, everyone has been exposed to our market, our product, and what it is that we do. And I think if you're like sick of someone else making money off your data, like the ability for you to provide resource to a network that's solving a great problem, like keeping the internet free, then we're the right community for you. We've got great community managers. We share really good content. We kind of educate people on the digital ad market, the ad tech sector, and a lot of people see similarities in the way that cryptos are traded, right? So I think it's people don't realize they're kind of much closer to that market than they think they are. And I think people see the problem we're solving and then want to work their way up to running a validator and start yield farming the internet, basically.
I got you. All right. And while we are actually at it, there is so much more to the game. So I kindly encourage everybody to at least consider hitting the follow button right there on the ALKIMI exchange. And not only that, feel free to actually even more strongly incentivize to go ahead and follow Ben Putley's account himself for the CMT.
You haven't had enough of me. There's plenty more where that came from.
Oh, it's always worth doubling down on the right people, my man.
Absolutely.
So 100% good recommendation as well to hit the follow button, both on Ben Putley's account and the ALKIMI exchange. I cannot recommend it enough. And at the same time, the brief recommendation from mine for everybody who's stepping right into the space, right, knowing and seeing what's really happening right there outside. Even though I'm much more of a market guy and a charter market ignition and all this stuff, my focus is on the markets, right? However, the markets are constituted basically of people, right? People constitute the markets, and people want to hold stake in a market in one shape or fashion. They want to benefit from the space, right? So there's basically been so much of the incredible value, like I said, that everybody can take a look at real quick, even if we share the proper case study right there with the account. How does the yield work basically in the ALKIMI network? So if we were to kind of like just narrow down with the last question for today's session real quick, and be specific, in terms of those new people that are coming, they want to hold stake, they want to be followers, they want to benefit from being the ALKIMI members somehow. So why wouldn't you explain them real quick? How does the yield work?
So it's quite simple, really. There's a fee that we charge for people that are buying and selling ads on the network. That is 3 to 8% of the total ad spend that runs through ALKIMI. We use that fee to purchase tokens back and then distribute that to people that are validators or providing liquidity in the LP. So 100% of the fees that are generated by the network go back into rewards for token holders. Simple as that, really. The cool part about that is it's not rewards or emissions from a treasury. It's rewards from utility of people buying and selling ads online. As I said at the top of the session, there's $600 billion that are spent on ads this year. There'll be $1 trillion by 2028. Advertisers and brands spend money no matter what, and they have nearly always spent more. So this market continues to grow. It's like a infinite yield pool, it's backed by brands that buy ads. It doesn't matter if Bitcoin's at 100K or 30K. Not that I think that's ever going to happen again, but it will be there, So like year on year, as we grow our market share, there'll be more buybacks to be distributed to rewards as rewards for holders. So yeah, that's the plan. Grow our market share.
Right on. And that actually, takes us to the very final question and recommendation from you, Ben, to today's session. When and where, is actually the best opportunity to participate in ALKIMI's program in the following weeks and months? Is that going to be the focus for the next couple of weeks? Is it going to be, that the people should focus on the next 6 months, next year, next 10 years? Like, what would be your personal recommendation as the man behind all the success?
So I think gross ad spend across the network is going to kick off next year. We've been working hard with partners. There's lots of conversations that are going on. We're expanding the brands that we work with and the depth of relationships the network has with media agencies. So I think join our Telegram channel, it's ALKIMI Exchange, or join our Discord server, it's ALKIMI Exchange. I've got my first ever politician coming on our podcast. We're recording that next Monday. So that will be cool. From tens of people in a Chorley's first back office in his back garden to now having a real live politician. She kind of runs the Web3 initiative for the UK government. So we've come quite a long way. So the podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, it's called Lab Talks. We've had some great guests. We've had James from Coca-Cola. We've had the managing partner for American Express, from Universal Media, United. What is it called? Doesn't matter. UM is what the acronym is. We've had the buyers behind Cathay Pacific. We've had a chap that now works on the Nike account at IPG, who has some really great guests on that podcast. So if you want to really go deep, we've started breaking them up to shorter, more digestible pieces of content, as we were talking about before the call, Adrian. But yeah, Twitter, Telegram, Discord. We'll be opening up another cohort of validators in due course. So yeah, now's the time to, if you want to, start building up to the collateral you need, and then you can run a validator.
Love it. And feel encouraged to go ahead and check out the actual website at, Labs Alchemy org, the ROG, ORG, actually. My bad. Although, the main website itself, if you want to go ahead and search, it's going to be.
Yeah, that's where
exactly.
Case study
Alchemy.
works. Yeah.
And there's the entire chapter of the lab site. And by the way, I'm a huge fan of the entire UX UI layout. It's beautiful, clean, crisp, simple, and people love simplicity. So that's well accurately targeted. And
designers and front end team are some of the best around. So yeah, I'm very lucky.
Couldn't agree more. And that actually, just like I said, takes you to the very wrap of today's session. And ladies and gentlemen, it's been true pleasure to be hosting our incredible partners at Alchemy Exchange right there, and how they all kind of like change the entire ad industry with saving, even 60% or so, costs, and generating so much of the potential to the space, and just making it better, right? Through decentralization, through all the protocols that we all deal with on a daily basis, even though we don't really realize, we make it better through the partnerships like that with Alchemy and Ben Putley himself. So Ben, it's been a great pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for your wealth of knowledge and the experience. It's been incredible listening to this beautiful discussion, and thanks so much for taking your time.
Likewise, thank you, Adrian. It's been an absolute pleasure. Till next time, mate.
Till the next time, everybody. I've been your host, Adrian Zdunchik, CMT Charter Market Technician.